Hello everyone, this is Heidi Duran, enrolled agent and founder of Achievable Dream Tax Resolution. Today I'm going to show you how to complete a 433A. This is the IRS's financial form. It's called the Collection Information Statement for Wage Earners and Self-Employed Individuals. If the IRS has asked you to complete this form, that means that you or they or both are looking for some sort of resolution. Now this form does two things. It shows your ability or inability to pay. It also shows the IRS what they can collect from you reasonably. The IRS tends to assume that you have a lot more than you do. So this form is very good for both of you, actually. It's a little bit of a reality check. So as you can see, to save time, I filled in the obvious information, such as your name, social, and address. Oh, don't forget your county there. I always like to put at least one phone number. Now, if you're working with a representative, you're still going to put your number. As far as 2B goes, I get a lot of questions about this. You're going to list anyone that you pay for. So normally that's your children, but if you're also taking care of an adult child, a dependent adult, for example, you're going to put that in here as well. Whether or not you claim them on your taxes doesn't matter so much in this section. You're going to be explaining this section to your revenue officer or your tax representative, but you want to include anyone that you're paying for. Remember, we want to show a reality check of what you can or cannot pay. Now, if you've noticed that I put simply John A. Doe and not his wife, the reason I did this is because more often than not, I do see a joint return, but sometimes you get a married filing separate and only one of the people owes the tax. So that person is filling out the 433A. Here's what you do if that's the case. If you're John A. Doe and your wife Mary has nothing to do with this tax liability, you're going to put in your name, your social, your job. However, you're still going to add your spouse's social, date of birth, and driver's license number. You do not, however, have to fill in his or her job information. Now for the job, you're going to put in the name of who you work for, obviously. The address can either be the home office or the physical location where you work. They may cross-reference this with your pay stub, so I tend to put the home office. You're going to put your work phone number. It's going to ask if your employer allows contact at work. I always say no. You do not want a revenue officer contacting you at work. How long you've been there, very self-explanatory, your job, and how many exemptions you claim on your W-4. Be very careful of claiming too many, as this usually results in tax liabilities, which, might be why you're filling out this form. If for some reason, let's say, John, you take care of these 3 people here, and you claim 13, I've seen it, the IRS is going to scrutinize that once we see this. If you have claimed far too much, talk to your payroll department immediately about changing your W-4. Now moving on to Section 3. I'm going to keep this brief and then we'll continue with Section 4 in the next video. All of these are pretty self-explanatory. Are you the party of a lawsuit? Yes or no? If yes, you're going to fill this in. The reason they ask this is because they want to know if you might be getting a large sum of money or you might be losing a large sum of money. Again, what you can and cannot afford to pay. The IRS is not only looking for your present situation, they need to consider your future as well. Have you ever filed bankruptcy? Yes or no? Now, even if it was a long time ago, I put a random date. 1987. Go ahead and put it on there. What they're mostly looking for is if you've recently filed bankruptcy. The reason they asked for this is because if you recently filed bankruptcy, say last year, or if you're still currently in bankruptcy, that will affect your ability to pay, that will affect your assets, and so on. Now for number 8, it's very important to be very specific. Don't guess. Don't be optimistic. Don't be pessimistic. If you know for sure that in 6 months you're going to get a raise, or you're selling your rental home, for example, and you're not going to have that income anymore, that's when you fill out number 8 and say yes. If you think the economy's bad, or you're a realtor and the housing market is probably just going to get worse, still say no. You can always explain your situation separately. Are you the beneficiary of a trust, estate, or life insurance policy? The answer is usually, I wish, but we're going to put no. And finally, in the last 10 years, have you resided outside the United States for periods of 6 months or longer? This is usually to determine, say, if they had missing returns for you. Maybe you didn't need to file. Don't forget to fill this out also if you were in active duty in the military and say you were stationed overseas. Make sure that you fill this out if you were there for more than 6 months. That concludes part 1 of how to complete a 433A. Join us for part 2 as I continue with section 4. Thanks for watching.